Hey there, teacher friends. Today I'm excited to share with you a creative and educational activity for your students. We're going to recreate scenes from The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle using Canva. This activity is great for enhancing digital skills and creativity in a fun and engaging way. So let's get started on how you can guide your students through this process. You want to begin by revisiting the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, with your class. Encourage them to think about their favorite parts of the story. It could be the different foods the caterpillar eats or its transformation into a butterfly. This will set the stage for the activity and get the students excited about recreating their chosen scenes. Next, you want to guide your students in setting up their Canva accounts, or you can create a class account that everyone can use. Familiarize them with the basic tools and features of Canva, such as shapes, colors, and text options. You want to ensure that they understand how to use these tools to create their artwork. Front load this information with them, practice with them, so that when it's time for them to get down to the designing part, they get to really have fun because they know how to use these features. Now let's dive into the exciting part of our activity, creating the caterpillar and the foods from the story. This is where your students get to bring their artistic visions to life. So we'll start with our main character, the caterpillar. Show your students how to use the circle shape in Canva to create the caterpillar's body. They can use a series of green circles for the body segments and a slightly larger one for the head. Encourage them to customize their caterpillar by choosing different shades of green or even adding patterns. So we'll come over here to elements and we're just going to select a circle. We're going to change it to the color green. And we'll duplicate this. And this will be our caterpillar's body. And again, you want it to be their creation, so encourage them to use different shades of green. They can also take different shapes and they can give patterns to it. And then we're going to let this be the head, so we'll make this slightly bigger. I have an image here just so I can use it as a reference. Your students can do that to make it look exactly the way it looks in the book, or you can encourage them to just be creative and they can make their caterpillars whatever color they want. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to red. Alrighty. So now we have our caterpillar's body. Now we want to work on the facial features. So next you're going to guide them in adding facial features to the caterpillar. They can use smaller shapes for eyes, a tiny triangle for the nose, and a line or a curved shape for the mouth. For the antenna, lines or thin rectangles will work well for that. This is a great opportunity for your students to express their creativity. Their caterpillar's expression can be happy, curious, or even silly. So just let them have fun with it. So we'll come back over here to elements. We'll select circle. I'm going to change my circle to black this time. And I'm going to make it a lot smaller because it's going to be the eyes. And we'll move it over here. I'm going to duplicate that for the other eye. Now I'm going to choose a triangle. I'll make my triangle black as well. And again, they can do whatever shapes, whatever colors they want. And then for the mouth, I'll just select a line. So again, this is why you want to make sure they're familiar with coming over here to the element section and to the text section. And we're just going to select a line. What I love about Canva is that they have different types of lines. So again, they can get creative with what type of line they want for their mouth. So I'm going to remove this one and I'll select this line. Bring it down and make it shorter. It's good. Perfect. So now we have facial features. Alrighty. And again, they can have a lot of fun with this. They can change the facials, the mouth. They can make it happy, sad, angry. They can put an open mouth circle here. Let's try that and see how that looks. So I'm going to go over here, select a circle. And this time what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'll make the circle white, but I'll put a border around it. Change the shape of it a little bit. So I can have the mouth open like it's ready to eat. So I think I'm going to go with that one. Let them have fun, encourage their creativity. Now let's recreate the foods that the caterpillar eats. We're going to start with simple items like the apple and the pear. You can show your students how they can use basic shape tools to form these foods. For instance, a circle for it can be for the apple, and then you can modify it slightly to create an apple-like shape, and then they can add details like a small leaf or a stem. So there are two different ways that you can do the shapes. You can do what I just mentioned, where you go with, where you can do the foods. You can go with the shapes. So I'll do this. I'm going to change this to a nice bright red. Come back over here. And then I can just manipulate the shapes just enough so that I can make kind of like a leaf or a stem to come up from it. Or what you can do if you don't want to go with shapes, so that's one way, you can always come over here back to elements and you can type in the foods. So I'm going to type in apple. And I can pull up things that way. So this may be fun for the kids. If they don't want to go with the shapes, they can go this route and find the different foods, and we'll put a pear. And everybody can still choose different types. So even though everybody may type in pear, if we look here, there are so many different types of pears that they can choose from. Alrighty. And I just noticed that I forgot my antennas. So I'm going to really quickly add antennas to our little caterpillar friend here. So let's go back over here and let's get that line. I'll make it a little bit shorter. I'm going to duplicate that one. Bring it over here. Change the direction of it a little bit. All right, can't forget those antennas. So they can just walk through the process, and this can also be a good activity to help them practice with their spelling of some sight words or with typing. So we'll just go through and allow them to choose whatever foods from the store. They can do all of the foods or they can just choose a few of them. So I'm just going to go through and look at some of the different foods. So we know we had apples, pears. He ate strawberries. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a strawberry. If you want to practice sequencing, you can go have them remember what order that the caterpillar ate the foods in. I think he ate an orange, a chocolate cake. That's my favorite. I'll just go with a slice of chocolate cake. A cherry pie, and I'll stop there. Don't need to put all of the foods. So allow them to maybe work on sequencing, see if they can remember what order the caterpillar ate the foods in, or they can just choose some of their favorite foods. Sorry, got tongue tied, so that they can put it on there. Alrighty. So as you can see, our caterpillar is coming together, looking pretty good. Also, they may want to add some feet to the caterpillar, so we can go back with shapes and just play around with that. So for the feet, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go with a rectangle to do the little legs. Start here. I'm going to make that black. Make this a lot thinner and shorter. We'll just duplicate a few. I'm going to push it behind the body. That looks better. Make the foods a little bit smaller and pull them over to the side. So we have our legs going on here. And I'm just going to duplicate the legs. And I'm going to push all of them to the back. So I'm going to position all of them to the back because I want the legs to be behind the body. Little details like this aren't that important for the babies. Let them put their legs wherever they want. Let them have their legs on the outside, wherever they want. It's just about allowing them to have fun. And then for the feet, just going to take the circle shape and I'm going to manipulate it so that it is more of an oval. And I'll just add that to those legs. Perfect. And now we have feet, all stemming from shapes. Our caterpillar is coming together. And what I love about this is that everybody's caterpillar could look completely different. It's about them being creative and having fun. All right, so we have our caterpillar and we have the foods. All right. And then if they want to add more foods, they have that freedom, or they can just go with whichever ones are their favorite. All right. So for this, what you want to do is you want to remind your students that their creations, they don't have to be perfect and they don't have to look exactly the way the book looks. The goal for this activity is to have fun and to use their imagination. Whether their strawberries are blue or their oranges are purple, it's all about creative expression at this point. Finally, show your students how to bring their caterpillar and the food items together in one scene. Alrighty, so as they're picking them out, just make sure that they have it all together. If you want to show them how to group their caterpillar together, you can. That can be easily done by, I'm taking my mouse, I'm right clicking, and I'm selecting everything up here. I have to come down a little bit. I'm selecting everything here, and I'm going to go ahead. That included. I'm going to group it. So now I can, oh, I left the leg behind. Now I can move I can move everything as one. I'm going to remove this out of the way so that I can get all of my pieces. Going to group it. And now I have one. I can make it smaller. So if that's something you can teach them how to do, or you can do that part for them, because they may, if they're younger, they may become a little frustrated if they're trying to move things and parts of their caterpillar starts being moved and they don't want it to be moved. Alrighty. So then they can just go ahead and position the foods wherever they want, but they have it all in one scene. Alrighty. So they can again arrange their foods in the order that the caterpillar eats them in the story, or they can choose to focus on just one or two items. The layout and design are all up to them, and this part of the activity really brings their storytelling skills into play. So this part of the activity is not just about creating digital art, it's about storytelling, understanding sequence, and expressing ideas visually. It's a wonderful way to engage your students in both literacy. The butterfly transformation is a magical moment in the very hungry caterpillar. It's a great opportunity for students to explore their creativity and learn about symmetry and color. Let's see how we can guide them through this process. So, you want to start by discussing the concept of transformation with your students. Explain how the caterpillar changes into a butterfly and how this can be symbolically represented in their artwork. This is not just a science lesson about metamorphosis, but also a chance to explore themes of growth and change. In Canva, show your students how to use the shape tools to create a butterfly. Start with the body of the butterfly, which can be a simple elongated oval or a couple of circles joined together. Then move on to the most important part, the wings. So let's start with the body. We'll come back over here to elements. We'll select a circle. I'm going to change it to this pretty brown. Now for this, you can either just make it elongated, and that can be the body, or you can do two circles stacked on top of one another. So we'll go with both and give the opportunity to see how it can be differentiated with your students. And I'm just going to group these two together so now it moves as one. So we have the body. Now let's move on to the wings. For the wings, you can use the heart shape or the teardrop shape in Canva, duplicated and mirrored to create symmetry. So we'll go the easy route and we'll select a heart because that may be easier for the students. So I'm going to go ahead, select the heart, and I'm going to turn it to the side. A little bit smaller. I'm going to duplicate this. Flip it around. And I'm just going to position this behind the body. Alrighty. So this is one way they can do it, or they can use the same hearts. So I'm going to just select both of those and duplicate them. Bring them over here, and I'll change the color of them. I always like for it to be behind so you can still see the body. So these are just two ways. Again, let your students choose how they want to do it because it's about their creativity. So these are two versions of the butterfly that you can use to make it easier for them so that things are not moving all over the place. I always like to select everything and then just group it together. Select everything, bring this in a little bit, and then group it together. So now it moves as one. Make it easier for the babies so they're not having their butterflies being broken apart or anything like that. All right. So now that you have the wings, you want to teach them to add details to their butterfly. This can include adding smaller shapes inside of the wings for patterns, using the brush tool for texture, or even experimenting with gradients for a more dynamic effect. Remind them that in nature, butterfly wings are often symmetrical. So they may want to try to replicate this in their designs where whatever is on one side is on the other, or just again, just let them have fun with that. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it now that I'm ready to add more to this. So there are different ways they can do that. They can leave it a solid color in the back and then just grab a bunch of different shapes. And I'll just pop some different shapes over. I'm going to change the different colors. Let's see. Get a nice blue. So they can just add a bunch of different shapes inside to make their own little patterns and have fun with that. And they can just fill up this entire space with different shapes. Or they can come to the colors. And if you scroll down, you see gradients. They can do that. They can make gradient colors and have fun with that, where each wing can either be the same, since we're talking about symmetry, or they can be different. Let them have fun with it. All right. Or they can do the gradient and still add patterns on there. All right. So it's all about what's fun for them and them having the opportunity to use their creativity. So now we have the details, we have the texture to our wings. Once the butterfly is created, go ahead and add a head over here really quickly. Add some antennas. I actually want to make the head the same color. We'll add little lines for antennas. Duplicate those and just pop that over here as well. They can still do exactly the same thing that they did with the caterpillar. If they want to give it a face, they can still do that. About whatever they want for their butterfly. So just let them have fun with that. But once they're done with that and their butterfly is completed, show your students how they can integrate the butterfly into the scene that they're going to be creating. They might want to do a before and after scene with the caterpillar on one side and the butterfly on the other, or they can try to attempt to depict the transformation process itself. Alrighty. So we have the caterpillar up here. We have the butterfly here. If they want, they could do that all on one page so that they can have it together and show how it went from the caterpillar to the butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and just group all of this together. To show how I can have it all together. And they can show how it went from one to the other. Grab all of this food, move it over here. And they can select whichever butterfly they wanted to use. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this off now so we have them together. Alrighty, so now we have our caterpillar. We have the food that he ate, and now there's a beautiful butterfly. And then you can talk about that transformation that it took. If they decide they want to do the chrysalis, the cocoon, they can go ahead and add that. So encourage your students to interpretate the transformation in their own way. Some might want to include the elements like that cocoon, while others might prefer to be more abstract with their representation. This part of the activity is excellent for fostering a deeper understanding of the story's themes and for allowing personal artistic expressions. All right. So this butterfly transformation scene is more than just an art project. It's a visual narrative of change and growth, and it allows your students to connect with nature, understand a fundamental biological process, and express it through their artistic lenses. All right, so this is the part where they get to be as creative as possible and basically just have a lot of fun creating their foods, their caterpillars, and their butterflies. Now that your students have created the main elements of their scenes, it's time to add details and finalize their artwork. This stage is about enhancing their creations and making them truly come to life. Begin by encouraging your students to think about the background of their scenes. In Canva, they can choose a simple colored background or use various shapes to create an environment. For instance, if their scene is outdoors, they might want to add a blue sky, a yellow sun, and some green grass. This helps give the scene and give the context to their caterpillar or butterfly. So we're going to scroll on down and let's look at adding the details of the scene. They can use simple shapes. So I could come over here, go back to my rectangle, my square, and I am going to set this up to be my sky. Go ahead and make that blue. Get a nicer color. Let's see. There we go. We'll go with that. And then I'm just going to duplicate this. And we're going to make this green for our grass. If you have students that are a little bit more comfortable with using Canva, you could have them come into elements and then they could type in things like grass. So I'm going to duplicate this and show what that would look like if they decided to use elements. So we can have them type in grass and they can go this route. But you want to make sure that it is at a level that your students are able to handle it. They could type in sky. Actually, I'm going to make that. And I'm going to push this all the way to the back. All right. So let them work at a level that works for them and at a level that's comfortable for you as well. If they can't handle this and you would have to do too much helping, just let them work with the shapes over here. All right. So we'll work between both of these. They want to add a sun. If they're working with just the shapes, we'll come back over here. We will grab us a circle, make it yellow. And there's our sun. Pull the sky down a little bit. If they're at the level where they can work with the other elements over here, we'll come to elements and we will type in sun. This is another great way for that differentiation, allowing them to work at a level that works best for them and that they can handle. So they have different suns that they can choose from. Alrighty. And then we're going to go back up and we're going to grab our elements here. I'm going to just quickly copy and paste. I'm using keyboard shortcuts. I'm just going to copy and paste it down here. I'm also going to paste it down here. I can add all of those foods that we found. Just going to copy and paste them. And I'll do the same thing down here. Alrighty. So if this is the scene that they want, or if they chose the butterfly, then they can have their butterfly down here. They may not have done the caterpillar. They may have wanted to do the butterfly once it went through the transformation. So whatever their scene is, whichever character, whether it's the caterpillar or the butterfly once it transformed, you let them decide which one they want, if not both, and then allow them to do the background for that. Alrighty. For this, if appropriate, you can guide your students in adding text to their scene. They might want to include a title, a favorite quote from the book, or even a short narrative of what's happening in this scene. This can be a great way for them to practice their writing skills and add a personal touch to their artwork. So if they are at a level where they are ready, I'm going to remove these. If they are ready to do the typing, or they can write and add on to this, they can do it on a separate sheet of paper. But if they're at a level where they can type on here, we're going to come over to text. We're going to add a text box, and you can allow them to type whatever message that they want. It can be a quote. It can be a sentence telling what's happening on the page. It can be the title, but you can give them opportunity to practice typing. Encourage your students to review their work and add any small finishing touches and details. Maybe the caterpillar needs a little bit more texture, or the butterfly could use a few more spots on its wings. These small details and touches can make a big difference in their final piece. Once they are happy, because it's about them being happy, once they are happy with their final scene, so whatever they decide to do, whether they're using shapes only or if they're using different elements, once they're happy with their final scene, You want to show them how to save their work in Canva. Encourage them to share their artwork with the class, or even you can share it in the school community. Show the other classes and teachers what they've been doing inside of Canva. You can create a digital gallery of all your students' work and then display it for like a parent teacher event. Allow them to see what their students are doing with their digital work. This not only celebrates their hard work, but it also allows them to take pride in their creativity. All right. So you can share it here, you can print it off, or they can share it and you can present it inside of the classroom. But the most important thing is you give them the opportunity to just have fun with it. This final stage is crucial in teaching students about the importance of reviewing and refining their work. They may find extra details that they want to add to it. It's also a wonderful opportunity for them to express themselves and share their interpretations of the very hungry caterpillar. I really hope that you enjoyed this activity and that it brings a lot of joy and learning into your classrooms. If you decide to use this, please feel free to drop a comment down below and let me know what you think about this video, and let me know how it turned out with your students.